Hello and welcome to the second Digital Citizen Parent Academy in webinar format. My name is Jessie Garris. I am the Media and Educational Technology Instructor at Woodland Elementary. Please note that all digital citizenship webinars will be pre-recorded until further notice. This is due to some unforeseen circumstances. So today's webinar is Plugged In Parents, Keeping Kids Safe, Happy, and Healthy in the Digital Age. All content was created by commonsense.org and is shared with their permission. So Common Sense is a trusted guide for families, educators, and advocates who help kids thrive. They provide resources to harness the power of media and technology and to shape public policy to improve the well-being of every child. What role is media and technology playing in childhood development? Let's take a moment to watch the following video. So it's important to know that we're all trying to navigate this new world of devices and tech, and it's not always easy. Kids are using a lot of media, and parents feel a potent combination of guilt and anxiety about how to navigate it all. But rest assured that you're not alone. What are your biggest concerns about digital media? And What are some of digital media's strengths? So we have legitimate fears and concerns, but remember that there are ways media can be great and offer amazing opportunities to our kids. I'll definitely address your concerns, talk about what you can do, and explore some of the potential benefits of media. But first, let's pose the question we really need to ask. How do we use media in balance as a family, find quality content, set expectations around healthy use to prevent conflict, and raise media-savvy consumers and creators? I will sketch out the kids and media landscape and offer tips and tools along the way. But there is no magic bullet. Tech and media moves too fast for simple solutions, so though I will give practical tips, the overall information and framework are even more important. Since there's no research that nails down the exact right amount of time kids can be on screens, we can use these questions to take a look at the whole child. Basically, if they're using screens as one part of their lives, getting exercise, eating well, and being social, things are in good shape. So ask yourself, is my child physically healthy and sleeping enough? Connecting socially with family and friends? Engaged with and achieving in school? Pursuing interests and hobbies? And having fun and learning in their use of digital media? There are also some other overall guidelines that can take some of the worry and headache out of parenting around tech use. First, use and watch with your kid whenever you can. That way, you can discuss and explain things as they happen and connect it to real life. Plus, it's a great bonding time. Also, make sure you and your partner are on the same page and know your own rules. For instance, can they take the iPad without asking? Is it their device or is it yours? Specific times and places to use the device? What are the consequences? Have clear expectations, and you can even rehearse with little kids. Maybe something like, you can play Token Nature until you hear the timer go off. When you hear this sound, flip the cover shut. Let's practice. And with older kids, find or negotiate stopping points that feel logical and less arbitrary than time limits. Talk about commercials and their purpose. You can also play a game to guess what's being sold. Encourage creativity and not just consumption. Get kids coding and creating so that media experiences are empowering. There's a difference between a producer and a consumer, and that goes on in the digital world as well. It's never too early to talk about digital citizenship, how to behave online, and what to do if something really upsetting happens. Finally, be a good role model. Put devices down when your kid wants your attention, and follow your house rules. Since kids are using digital media and we are doing our best to manage it, what is the best case scenario? What do we want them to get out of it? Is it one of these choices, or is it something else? So you've set the stage for success, and the good news is that there's great media available that your kids can benefit from. Things like background TV. All right, well, background TV is a choice. Since you want to make conscious choices, be aware of what's on the TV, even if it is playing in the background. Child development and appropriateness. What are they ready for? Think about the meanness, scariness, violence, inappropriate pictures, humor, substances, advertising, swearing, and accessibility. What are the controls on the game? Is it on their reading level? What is the interest? What about privacy, safety, and advertising? If it's a game or app, is there chat? What kinds of info does it collect? Is there a chance your kid could encounter grown-up content? Are there ads, in-app purchases? What do reviews or expert sites say? What about the educational value? Is there a learning potential? Common Sense has learning ratings on their website. There's some great research about how best to help your kid learn with digital media. Watching television with young children, or as it's called, co-viewing, has been associated with a range of positive outcomes, including learning letters and numbers. Research has shown that parent interaction during an ebook reading plays a positive role on children's understanding of story content. Kids can learn from and empathize with beloved characters, which can lead to positive outcomes like math and science skills and healthier food choices. So based on this research, how can parents and caregivers choose and maximize the learning potential of media? In terms of selecting media, look for apps that provide feedback, adapt to a kid's level, and they're not too busy or loud with no purpose. Ask yourself, Is it an experience only a screen can deliver? If a piece of paper or blocks or toys would work just about as well, the app probably isn't worth it. The Common Sense website has a list of high-quality apps, which I'll show you later on. Play and view apps and games with your kids, and ask about the experience and talk about the content. Are there real-world activities you can do together that could extend learning? Linking media to the real world helps transfer knowledge and skills. Choose a media friend like Daniel Tiger to deliver some positive messages and link with parasocial relationship. Use the Common Sense learning ratings for the apps and information so you know how much learning potential the apps have and what skills and the subjects that are covered within the app. All reviews have questions parents can use to start conversations about the content. So around age 8, kids want more independence and start to develop their own relationship with tech and media. Instead of just watching and playing what you choose for them, they have more opinions about what media they want to use. Lots of kids want to play things like Minecraft, Roblox, Animal Jam, etc. that are creative, involve gaming, and sometimes involve connection with other kids. So ask yourself, why do you think kids and tweens want to be on their devices all the time? Is it one of these choices? Is it all of the above? Tweens today aren't that different from when we were growing up. They want the same things we do, but devices have altered what that looks like. Kids and teens still rely on parents for support, but they want to try out their independence. Kids start to develop their own relationship with technology, and they do this at a relatively young age. Usage of digital media increases, and their media use is not as closely aligned with their parents' usage. And this gap seems to grow as they get older. In a Common Sense focus group, kids were asked what their parents thought about their tech usage. One student responded, "Adults don't get it. They think I'm addicted to technology, but I'm not. I'm addicted to my friends." Dana Boyd, researcher and author, found evidence to support this statement. She claims tech, has become the primary place where young people can hang out with their peers. Kids want to be on these sites because that's where their friends are. That's the whole thing. So think about riding a bike. Kids start off needing your help and most likely use training wheels. Tech and media is the same way. It's just like needing training wheels to get started navigating the digital world. You can be those training wheels. Excuse me. Worst case scenarios are rare, but we still need to arm kids with tools as they interact online. And starting the conversation before problems arise is important to build trust in open and ongoing dialogue so that if trouble does happen, it won't go underground, meaning they won't feel like they need to hide it from you. In the end, we want them to be able to find balance and safety themselves without us hovering over their tech usage. So we must help them get there. Implementing tech usage guidelines and expectations is critical, especially since computers have gone from sitting in the family room to being in your pocket. Does your child already have a phone? Is he or she asking for one? The average kids are getting smartphones in the U.S. at about 10 years old, and about 75% of kids ages 12 to 17 have a smartphone. For those who haven't taken the plunge but are being regularly asked to get one by their kid, take a moment to reflect on these questions. Do your kids show a sense of responsibility, such as letting you know when they leave the house? Do they show up when they say they will? Do your kids tend to lose things, such as backpacks or homework folders? If so, expect they might lose a very expensive phone, too. Do your kids need to be in touch for safety reasons? Would your kids like to have easy access to their friends, and would that benefit them for social reasons? Do you think they'll use cell phones responsibly? For example, not texting during class or disturbing others with their phone conversations. Can they adhere to limits you set for minutes talked and apps downloaded? Will they use text, photo, and video functions responsibly and not to embarrass or harass others? So there's this huge assumption that kids are always on their phones, but what are they doing anyways? Tweens view or use an average of 6 hours of entertainment media each day. That might mean an hour of social media and an hour of television happening at the same time. Since a lot of media use is part of multitasking, meaning it's happening at the same time, since media use is part of multitasking. Interestingly enough, this does not take into consideration time spent on a device at school. According to various studies, girls dominate social media usage, while boys dominate online gaming. Overall, though, while social media and gaming are popular, TV, videos, and music are still the most used forms of media. So let's take a moment to talk about social media. Is this statement myth or truth? Social media alienates kids. It's actually a myth. Social media can actually strengthen relationships. It can be used to do good in the world, such as organizing around a cause or using an app like Sit With Us to be inclusive. Most kids are just having fun online. According to the Pew Research Internet Project, 57% of all teens have made new friends online. 84% of boys who played network games with friends feel more connected when they play online. 68% of teens' social media users have had online friends support them through tough or challenging times. So what are they using and how? Kids are diversifying and often shift their use of certain sites and apps. A 2015 Pew Research report says 71% of teens use more than one social media platform. Many kids might not be actively posting and sharing on some of these apps, but they are reading and watching what other people are doing. Instagram, Snapchat, and Facebook are most popular, but live streaming and video chatting are on the rise. If your kids use social apps, it is recommended that you use them too, to give you an idea of what kind of content they're exposed to while using the app or website. So knowing the titles of the apps is great, but looking at key features of an app is even more important. Is it age-appropriate content? Is it easy to find inappropriate images or content? And how prevalent is it? What are the public default settings? When you're sharing something, does it automatically go out to all users unless you change that setting? Some apps are meant to connect with friends and some with the world. Go through the settings and always set the phone to private, especially when we're talking about kids. Location tracking and sharing. Does the app track your location? Why does it track your location? Does it share your location with others or third parties? Is there a way to opt out of it? Is there real-time video streaming? Why and how do people use that streaming option? And what are your rules around sharing personal information and taking risks just to get viewers? Are there ads and in-app purchases? Are there ways for your child to spend real money? And is it necessary to spend to get ahead in the app or the game? Though the majority of social media apps are free, many have options to spend money within the app. What about temporary pictures? Is there a feature that promises that content will disappear? Though this trend is slowing down now that more users are learning it's easy to capture or screenshot temporary pictures, it's still a good idea to remind kids that nothing posted online really disappears. What about subpar reporting? Is it easy to report and flag inappropriate content and users who harass others? And what about anonymity? I have a hard time saying that word. Is being anonymous a big part of the app? When people can hide, they're more likely to make poor choices. What about cyberbullying and negative culture? What's the overall feel of the app? Are people on the app to have fun and connect, or to be cruel and rate others? So help your kids create a safe social network. Start with the device, game, or app itself. Discuss privacy and location settings, the importance of thoughtfully selecting privacy settings in social media apps, and how to be careful about accepting people as friends. Check your device to see how your location is being tracked and used. Sometimes our information is being sent to third parties and we don't even know it. Despite putting safeguards in place, cyberbullying can still happen. If your kid is being bullied or facing negative online behavior, make sure they know how to report abuse in the app as a first offense. Peers sticking up for peers is the best defense, so whenever possible, encourage upstanding. Take screenshots and get additional adults involved if it's an ongoing or safety is threatened. If your kid is the culprit, well, treat it as you would other negative behavior. Give real consequences and find a way to make amends. The best solution to cyberbullying is teaching kids how to be good digital citizens. Digital citizenship is multifaceted and includes elements like safety, privacy, media literacy, creative credit, communication, cyberbullying, self-image, and reputation. You're already teaching your child how to be a good human, but there's an additional layer to that lesson when kids are behind a keyboard. It's easier for kids to be mean or say things they wouldn't otherwise say. So the basics are you're part of a community, and you need to put good into the world. Don't stir up trouble, be a force for good. In other words, think critically, behave safely, and participate responsibly. Schools can be a helpful tool in teaching kids digital citizenship. We're actually doing this in all of Fulton County. Every Fulton County school is becoming a digital citizenship, a common sense digital citizenship certified school, meaning that all of our students have taken part in lots of different digital citizenship lessons. Beyond social media, there are other concerns like violence, sexual content, and body images. Unfortunately, we're the ones that have to deal with the worries and the questions and the nightmares that kids might have if they see something they're not supposed to see. So, truly, prevention is the path of least resistance. So how do we combat the content we're concerned about? With younger kids, we often choose content for them, but tweens mostly select for themselves, so the goal is to help them make good choices on their own. Starting young is the best case scenario, but instilling your values, watching together, and talking about the messages in media all help kids become smart consumers. Also, since tweens are often secretive as they gain independence, it's fine to check what they're doing, though it's best to let them know what's happening. Setting that expectation before they have devices their own is best, but at any time, you can let kids know that you'll be checking devices not to get them in trouble, but to make sure everything is okay. Though this isn't easy with all apps, taking a look at text, search histories, and viewing histories can give you a sense of what's up with your kid. Of course, the best tool we have as parents is communication, so it's great to follow up and check with a chat. So many kids weather the storms of social media and all the messages fairly unscathed, but if they do make mistakes, we're here to guide them and to help them make better choices. Let's take a minute to walk through some of the common sense reviews and other resources on their website so you can make informed media choices and get answers. So this is the landing page for the Common Sense Media website. They have reviews for different types of movies that are out. It will actually give you a star review. It will tell you the recommended ages. You can continue reading for a summary if they have a summary of it. It'll give you a rundown of different types of things to look for in the movies. This is really, really helpful. Actually, when we are trying to find videos, if we have through our PBIS, if we do a reward of a movie day, this is an excellent resource for us to use because just because a movie is rated G doesn't necessarily mean that it's the most appropriate video to show at a school. So common sense is kind of our first line of defense in choosing videos that are appropriate. They also have a book list and book review feature, which is great for me for purchasing books in the library. One of the really nice things is that it will actually tell you things to look out for. So it might not have language in it, but this one does discuss drinking, drugs, and smoking. And sometimes it'll actually go into detail of what that means. So this is a great site to look at if you're trying to look for quality content and you're trying to make sure that you're exposing your children to the age-appropriate content that they need and deserve. So within the site, they have apps and games. They have a parents need to know. They will actually, they've actually taken many different apps and websites and made their own informational videos. So I strongly suggest if your children play any of these games or go on any of these sites that you take a moment to go to the commonsense.org website and watch these videos so you kind of have an understanding of what's going on in their world. There are Spanish resources. They have lots of different research things that they have released. And you can always drill down even further. You can type in specific movies to search, specific books to search, or a specific common sense, media, digital citizenship topic that you want to search. So let's go back to the one statement about being addicted to media. Since we haven't truly defined technology addiction yet, our research talks about feeling addicted. Certainly, most of us can relate to the impulse to check social media or binge watch our favorite shows. It can be hard to stop. Also, we all like to think we can multitask, the kids included. Multiple research studies tackling different aspects of multitasking show many kinds of problems with it, everything from higher stress levels to trouble remembering. Most important, however, is the fact that even though we think it helps our productivity, it actually makes it go down. So when is technology a problem, and what do we do? If a kid's media use falls out of balance with overall healthy face-to-face interactions, physical activity, schoolwork, and other interests, it's time to intervene. But know that their fear of missing out, FOMO is the acronym for it, and anxiety about staying on top of digital communication are valid in their own way. These are new forms of social pressures that are very real for kids. Device-free times and zones can help what sometimes feel like a runaway train. Modeling the behavior you want to see is your first priority. How can you instill positive attitudes towards technology? If you are setting solid standards but don't like what your kid is doing, monitoring their media use is the next step via device-free zones and times. Think limits, not lectures. Communicate, don't corner. And since we want to teach our kids to make positive choices when they are on their own, it's time to start stepping back and mediating rather than jumping in every time there's an issue. This is tough to do, but it is vital for developing problem-solving and conflict resolution skills. It's important for, went on past that part. Another way to nurture positive attitudes towards tech is to consider doing device-free dinner. Dinner as a family without devices supports healthier eating habits, improved academic performance, and reduces problems with behavior and substance abuse. Parents usually want to know how to monitor phone use and shut it all down when things get really out of hand. However, most experts don't recommend full monitoring because, inevitably, kids find ways around the software and devices we use, open new accounts, or restrict access to parents. While spot checks allow for some freedom and privacy that tweens and teens need, full monitoring can drive unwanted behaviors underground and set up an us against them dynamic. Instead, we want our kids to know we just want to help and be there when they need us. Common Sense offers the titles of some options on their website. Ultimately, the more kids can regulate themselves, the better. So instead, you should look for options that keep the conversation going. Try spot checks. Let your kid know that you'll occasionally check their device, not to spy, but to make sure everything is okay. For older kids, ask which apps their friends are using and why, since asking about friends can feel less like an intrusion. You can say, "Oh, I haven't heard about that one. Will you show me how it works?" That works way better than being like, "What's that app? I didn't say you could use that app." Make sure your kids know that we all make mistakes, and it can feel like the world is ending if we do make a mistake, especially online. But reassure them that you're here to help. For shared devices, both iOS and Android have guided access. Those are things to keep in mind when you get your devices. So instead of shutting down tech usage, consider making media content and use a part of your relationship so that it's less a matter of control and more of an ongoing conversation. Set your expectations as early as possible around content, balance, media-free zones, and everything else in between. Adjust as necessary and keep lines of communication open. Have clear consequences for not meeting expectations, just as you would with other rules. And have fun together. Media use can be a way to bond, share news, and enjoy spending time together. Find ways to focus on the positive and guide your kids through the potential negatives. Since this is all a process and tech changes so quickly, you can always visit the Common Sense website to get more information. You got this. Don't forget that we are all in the same boat trying to navigate through these murky digital waters. In the end, it comes down to parenting basics. There's no one right answer, and you know your kid best. Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you visit my website for additional handouts, digital citizen resources, and to fill out the webinar survey to get your Paw Pack point. There is a part in the survey that will ask for a magic word, and the magic word for this particular webinar is cupcakes, because I really want a cupcake now. Thanks for joining me, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at garrisj at fultonschools.org. That's GARRISJ at fultonschools.org.